Hey there, LinkedIn, Meghan, and Harry have launched their awesome new Montecito Orchard website. It's like they're stepping into their own royal spotlight, doing things their way. And guess what? Catherine, for once, gets to focus on herself instead of always worrying about everyone else. Plus, we've got some juicy gossip Meghan's fake pregnancy is about to be exposed. Stay tuned to our newsletter for all the latest. Hello, friends. Welcome to the King YouTube channel. Life can be incredibly harsh sometimes, like when we hear that the king has been diagnosed with cancer, and now on top of that, we receive this heartbreaking news about the Princess of Wales, who's just 42, also fighting this terrible disease. It's almost too much to bear, isn't it? I couldn't hold back my tears when I first heard. Hasn't the royal family been through more than enough in recent years? With the loss of Prince Philip and the beloved Queen Elizabeth II, the sorrowful departure of Harry and Meghan, and now the king falling ill so soon after his coronation, just when things seem to be going well. It's like one hit after another, isn't it? You know the saying, when it rains, it pours, and sadly, it seems like fate isn't done yet with the House of Windsor. And what about the Princess of Wales? Honestly, folks, in my opinion, this is the toughest blow of all. Her recent video message to the world was truly something else. Sitting on a bench in the garden, dressed casually in a simple striped blouse and jeans, she exuded such raw sincerity. Though she looked a bit pale, her gorgeous smile still shone through. Yet there were moments when she glanced down and a hint of sadness flickered across her face. It's clear, as she mentioned, these past few months have been incredibly tough. It's just so unfair. You know, Catherine is in the prime of her life and she leads such a healthy lifestyle. She should be the last person dealing with this awful disease at her age. It just goes to show cancer doesn't care who you are. And with three young kids relying on her, it's even tougher. George is just 10, Charlotte is 8, and little Louis is only 5. Right now, her main focus is on them. She's shielding them from the public's reaction to her illness and reassuring them that everything will be okay. There's nothing scarier for a child than seeing their parents sick. I've had friends go through similar situations, and the guilt and worry can really eat you up inside, especially when you're going through exhausting treatments while trying to stay strong for your loved ones. Even when she's feeling sick to her stomach and can hardly lift her head off the pillow, she still has to push through. That's why it's crucial for everyone around them to ensure that life continues as normally as possible for the Wales children. Right now, some seclusion is probably best for all of them. They need their privacy. As the princess mentioned in her video message, it's taken time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for their age and to reassure them that she'll be okay. My heart just shattered hearing her say those words. I mean, I couldn't help but cry. She looked so fragile, and you could see how much it's hurting her to see her kids go through this. It's a lot for any child to handle, and with the added pressures they're facing, these difficulties can only be magnified. We shouldn't forget about William either. I can't even imagine how tough this is for him. Both his dear father and his wife are facing the same illness, and he can't really lean on his brother, Prince Harry, for support, can he? Although maybe that'll change, but for now, the two people he usually turns to for support and guidance are both unwell. And his grandmother, who's always been a source of wisdom, is no longer with us. I'm sure this is a very unsettling time for him, too. I don't know how he's managing to stay strong. But of course, the one who really needs our prayers, care, and attention is the princess. Like most women in her position, juggling being a busy wife, mother, and having her own demanding job, I suspect it's hard for her to let others take care of her. They're not used to prioritizing their own needs. Catherine always puts everyone else first. She's not one to think about herself in that way. Friends of mine who've battled cancer have had to learn how to let go, adjust to a slower pace, and stop rushing all the time. It's a tough adjustment, especially if you're someone like Catherine who holds herself to high standards. I know the treatment can be really tough, and it's not just the physical effects that are hard to deal with. The mental toll can be intense too. Emotionally, it's really challenging for someone as dynamic and active as Catherine to slow down and rest. You're right, there's definitely something about Catherine that reminds you of the eternal head girl, isn't there? She's always ready to step up, never one to shy away from responsibility. She's always been flawless in carrying out her royal duties. And since the passing of the late Queen, as well as Harry and Meghan's departure, she's taken on even more responsibilities. She's not only beautiful, but also incredibly dependable. I'm sure she's worried about not meeting everyone's expectations, but she shouldn't be. I mean, if there's one thing we've seen in recent weeks, it's how much the British public and people all over the world absolutely adore her. I dare to say that people probably love her more than any other royal. It's clear that in the 12 years since she married William and nearly 2 decades in the public eye, she's earned our respect. Unlike some others I won't mention, she never demanded anything. She simply works hard, consistently. And that's why she's won over the hearts and minds of people, making her such a vital asset to the royal family. She fills a unique space somewhere between the late Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth herself. She's a precious blend of Diana's beauty, glamour, and warmth, along with the Queen's sense of grace and strength. This diagnosis isn't just tough on the royal family, but also on the institution itself. They're in a vulnerable spot right now, but I have faith that she'll pull through just fine. As she mentioned, the treatment is preventative, which means they caught the cancer as early as possible. Thank goodness she's got all the support she needs, from her top notch medical team to her own parents, family, and even the king himself. He expressed his pride in her last night, and I know he truly means it. In her video message, she mentioned how Prince William has been a great source of comfort and reassurance. Well, she's been his rock throughout their marriage, and now he gets to be hers. After this crisis, I'm sure they'll be even closer than before. Right now, Catherine just needs to focus on herself, giving herself the space and time to fully recover. I loved how she thanked everyone for their well wishes. Honestly, if well wishes alone could cure her, she'd already be better. Now let's shift our focus to the buzz surrounding Meghan and Harry's new Montecito Orchard website. I've checked out all the details about the changes made to the royal family website, and it seems like they're now tucked away in the bargain basement. There's just a brief overview of Prince Harry's past accomplishments and only a quick mention of Meghan, along with a few photos from their Australian tour. But before we move on, I want to say that I'll be praying for the Princess of Wales every single day, probably more than once. I really hope you, my friends here on the King channel, will join me in sending her positive thoughts. The new details seemed harmless and quite low-key, but there's a lot of chatter about that link to their new website, which seems to endorse their merchandising of the family name. It's the same family they walked away from and tried to tarnish, all while building their own court in the US. I've always admired the monarch's subtle maneuvers and their knack for steering their narrative with dignity. Even under pressure, they maintain an image of calm and discretion, even when faced with angry critics threatening to storm the palace. Their silence can sometimes speak louder than any public uproar, but they always seem to navigate through trouble just fine. So, what does it mean that they included a link to the Sussex website? Are they endorsing Harry and Meghan? Are they giving them the nod to continue breaking royal protocol? Or perhaps it's a trap. The palace might be setting them up, waiting to catch them in their questionable actions. Actions do speak louder than words, Meghan, and let's not forget what the late Queen said in her farewell speech to Meghan. They'll be watching closely now. I'm sure the palace will keep a close eye on the Sussex website, and rightly so. They'll likely document any missteps, like mentioning racism within the royal family or targeting Queen Camilla. They better not go after the Wales, especially not now. In my opinion, the civil bio and the link to their website seem like yet another subtle move by the palace. If King Charles' health prognosis indicates that his royal career might be cut short, he'll likely try to appease Harry and Meghan to prevent any unnecessary drama. His goal would be to ensure a smooth transition to the throne for William. I'm not worried at all about what William will do when he becomes king. He'll handle the Sussex situation once and for all, and Meghan will realize she can't deceive and lie about others to elevate herself. The recent revival of the fake William and Rose affair will likely be the last straw for Meghan Markle. I'm sure William already has plans on how to address her. Sometimes I ponder that message too. In my view, it was released for one reason: William was aware of what was happening and he wanted the public to know. While the late Queen and now King Charles may prefer to avoid conflict, William has every reason to confront the situation head on. I believe he'll hold them accountable for their actions, especially Meghan. Only then will they have to come clean about the surrogacy and the staff bullying. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves just yet. I believe within a few years, everything will slowly start to come out step by step. Harry's already fading into obscurity in the US, and I doubt the Sussex website will manage to break the internet. Meghan Markle also doesn't look great these days. Perhaps it's all that Ozempic she's been taking. She's not aging well. She might need to spend more time editing her photos than focusing on her cooking classes or whatever else she does. Well, she does like to plagiarize other people, especially Gwyneth Paltrow, and promote cheap Chinese goods. But remember, nothing happens by accident. The palace knows everything about Harry and Meghan. We don't know the full story, not even close. The palace likely has a full and perhaps unsettling story about Meghan. While I'd love to see Meghan face consequences, her demotion on the royal website is a good start. Harry has also been demoted, but he'll always be a blood prince and a member of the family. Though he may never regain trust, I believe his father still harbors love for his wayward son, even if he's been deceitful. But Meghan's prospects are bleak. She can forget about any hopes of returning to Britain or rejoining the royal family. I'm sure King William will know exactly what to do with her. It's harder for a parent than a sibling to confront the truth. I've always felt sympathy for the king, and I don't think it was a mistake to leave the link to Harry and Meghan's webpage. It's likely for those who want to keep tabs on them. After all, the royals themselves probably don't know what Harry and Meghan are up to. I'm sure anyone who wants more information on Harry and Meghan will appreciate this, but Meghan and Harry might not like it because it directs their followers straight to them instead of the royals, making their connection to the royal family even more fragile. So that wraps up today's news. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any thoughts on these topics, feel free to leave a comment. And don't forget to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you next time.